Hi, my name is Niina and you're listening Together Through the Storms podcast. Welcome to the journey with me. I would like to begin by acknowledging traditional owners of the land where I'm recording this episode today, which is the Wurrung country. I would like to pay my respects to the elders past and present and to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people who may be listening today. Hi, and welcome Together Through the Storms podcast. My name is Niina, and today will be our final episode of the year, as well as the final episode of season 1 of Together Through the Storms podcast. Thank you so much for joining me. Today, I will be discussing transition, a bit of reflection of 2024, as well as reflection of my first season of this podcast. If you still haven't joined my advent calendar, this is your opportunity to do it. You can find link from my episode description. So go and sign up because you will access some amazing things for yourself. There will be different workouts, yoga sessions, different materials that will help you to support your child with additional needs and some well-being strategies for yourself as well. So I highly recommend to go and join my community to access this advent calendar. You will also get access to my fortnightly community letter, which is full of practical tips to manage life with a child with additional needs. So please go and register. I have a feeling that majority of you listeners might be feeling the pressures of the end of the year and feel the exhaustion. And I think it's perfect opportunity to try to take a moment to yourself to start reflecting the year. This next quote that I'm going to read out just perfectly summarizing the energy where I would like to be at the end of the year. I'm not saying I'm there yet, but I'm definitely trying to work towards feeling more like this energy. We are ending this year in our power, not our panic. This is a quote by Wex King. If you don't follow him yet on Instagram, I highly recommend to follow him. I can also pop his Instagram account into my episode description. There's lots of amazing quotes, amazing thoughts that will give you lots to think about. But isn't that so true? It's so easy to go into a certain panic mode at the end of the year. I mean, there's lots happening to all of us, no matter what our individual circumstances are, but especially as mothers for children with additional needs, transitions are hard. They are extremely hard, and it takes a lot of effort from us to manage those transitions and try to make them as easy and safe as possible. It's all happening. Christmas celebrations, which can be extremely triggering for some of our children. Lots of socializing, lots of out of routine activities. There's also the pressure of Christmas presents, wrapping up work. There are just so many layers happening, and it's so easy to move quite far away from ourselves. I can honestly say that I haven't felt particularly connected with myself. I've been more just trying to survive, get towards the end. But if you have an opportunity, and this includes myself as well, maybe we could sit down and try to think what could do the shift so that we wouldn't feel that we're ending the year in the panic mode, but instead taking the power back and making the connection back to ourselves. Sometimes it's the smallest things. In my 2 previous episodes, we've discussed a lot about different self-care strategies. Maybe it's implementing some of those. Maybe it's in general trying to slow down. That's my goal for at least for the remaining time before Christmas. Whatever it is, try to implement that. And today, we're going to do some reflection. I find that always really beneficial because often we're so busy that we don't really look back and see the progress we've made, for example, regarding our children with additional needs or personal growth that we've achieved throughout the year. We're just busy setting new goals and working towards something, and we ignore or don't acknowledge what's already been happening. So this time of the year is a great opportunity for that. And we're going to discuss that a little bit more today. I found some really good reflection questions from another podcast I regularly listen to, and I thought they would be suitable for us as parents for children with additional needs, but they work for everybody who may be listening. I will also add those questions into the episode description. So if you feel like you can't currently process and reflect, so maybe you can come back to them when you have that moment to yourself. But the questions are: what was I successful with? What was I unsuccessful with? What do I have to let go of? And what would I like to invite for next year? And how would I like to feel? You may already be thinking a lot of things in your head regarding your children, regarding yourself. Maybe some of them feel really hard. And that's part of the process as well. So take it as it comes. I started to do a bit of reflection for myself in regards of 2024 and started to think what I was successful with. I think the biggest thing for me has been that I have managed to take a step towards some of my dreams that I may have had for a while, but I've actually started to action them. And that has felt like a big personal success because I've overcome fear and some of my perhaps limiting beliefs around what I can or cannot do and just done it. I've also feel like partly because of this podcast, I've managed to find my voice. And it was really scary at the start, and it still kind of is, but just finding more confidence in expressing myself around those quite challenging emotions as well as I'm going through this journey of a mum for 2 children with additional needs. I think the biggest success for me this year has been that I have been able to operate outside my comfort zone majority of the time. I think we all know how nice it feels to be in your comfort zone. It feels cozy. You feel like you got this. However, sometimes you're unexpectedly thrown into a situation where you can't be at your comfort zone. Or sometimes you choose to go out of comfort zone yourself. And that's been me this year, professionally and personally. But I also am a firm believer of that the best growth happens outside the comfort zone. It's just about how to manage those uncomfortable feelings that arise from being outside your comfort zone. I'm also proud that I haven't given up, although things have felt really hard time to time. I've also recognized that I have extremely critical inner talk, but I've started to acknowledge it, pause and see it more often. So sometimes I've been able to kind of not listen to that criticism inside of me and almost like paused it and ignored it. I've really established what my core values are, and I've been able to invite things into my life that support those core values. For me personally, it's meaningfulness and creativity. And this year, I've been able to do things that include those values. And as part of that, I have been able to find more authentic self. Something perhaps a bit more personal that I haven't shared with many people, but I consider a bit of a success this year is that I've managed to remove alcohol from my life for 5 months to improve my mental health and to feel better within myself. Now, the question around what I was unsuccessful with, as much as I talk about self-care and the importance of that, I feel like I could have been looking after myself better. Not that I haven't done it, but I think that would be a bigger focus for me next year, looking after myself more holistically. Something that I feel I haven't been very successful with is that I do worry quite a lot about what other people think. And I also often feel that I'm just simply not good enough. So that insecurities, I'm not trusting my full potential and I'm not recognizing it, perhaps, that comes down to the inner criticism in me. So I think this goes together with the next reflection question around what I want to let go of. That would be a good goal. I would like to let go of worrying about what other people think and not trusting myself and my inner potential. I also would love to let go of too high expectations towards myself and towards others. That's something that I definitely want to work on next year. I don't know if you are into certain rituals at the end of the year, but one that I saw on Instagram, which you've probably seen it already, but one great activity is to have a plate and a marker and write down into the plate the things you do want to let go of this year, and then in a safe place, smash the plate and physically let go of those things that you're holding on to. It could be also writing a note on a piece of paper and then burning it, or throwing it in the bin if you want to be less extreme. I personally love to do something concrete like that to really demonstrate that letting go element. So perhaps that's something that you want to try towards the end of the year. The last question was what I would like to invite for next year and how I would like to feel. I kind of mentioned that I would like to look after myself better. So I would love to focus more on my mental and physical well-being, exercise more regularly, eat better, and continue taking those small moments to myself when I can. I feel like I have established that, but I just want to make it a really good ongoing routine. Another idea I heard from a podcast that really resonated with me would be that you could have 2 different self-care routines. One for the days when you're not feeling overly great. So that would be like the minimal self-care that I do on those days looks like this. And another one would be perhaps those days when you do have more capacity to look after yourself. I think that would just take the pressure away of feeling like you have to achieve certain things, even if you're not feeling quite up to it. So having expectations for the day when you don't feel great, you would probably still get those few things done. And then having some self-care routines and expectations for a day when you feel quite good about yourself. I might implement that for next year. How I would like to feel, my goodness, I think I would like to feel more grounded, more present, 100% more present. So find a better routine between work and family life and me time. Just find better balance between those 3 things and be present in what I'm currently doing. Now, I would like to challenge you to either write down if that feels natural to you, or think while you're driving, or talk to a close friend of these topics and reflect this year and perhaps the goals that you want to set for next year for yourself. Next, I thought I would use those same self-reflection questions to do a bit of reflection of the first season of Together Through the Storms podcast. So this has been so new to me. I started from literally not having any skills, not having any knowledge around how to do a podcast. This idea actually came to me in the middle of the year when I was having 2 hours for myself. I was sitting in a cafe, drinking coffee and writing down things that I would like to achieve, listing my dreams. And then it just came to me. I think the idea would have been developing a longer time, but that was when I was actually able to put it into words and specifically identify what I want to do. This is a learning journey. I continue developing my skills, but it's definitely a huge passion project for me. And based on some of the feedback that I've received from you guys, it makes me feel like you're getting something out of this as well. And that would be my biggest motivation. In terms of what I feel I was successful with regarding this podcast this year, was that I started it. It came from a dream to an actual podcast. So that's definitely a success I want to celebrate. Something else I was successful with, I feel like I managed to connect with such incredible guests, and I'm so grateful for everyone who visited this podcast this year. Your stories have been life-changing for many people listening, and your vulnerability is so much appreciated. So I thank you for that, and I feel successful that you have given me the opportunity to provide a platform where you can share your story. Success was also the amount of support that I've been able to receive from people around me. I have been absolutely blown away by the support of certain people, and I think you know who you are. So I really want to thank you for that. A couple of the feedback that really made me feel like this is all worth it were these. PTSD, but healing at the same time. Words aren't enough to thank you. I just wanted to say congratulations on the podcast. I think what you're doing is incredibly important in supporting families through connection and lived experience. Providing a platform to hold this particular type of space for families is so incredibly important. That feedback just makes me feel that the work that I'm trying to do is being seen and recognized and found beneficial. And that's what I hope. What I was unsuccessful with was probably finding that balance between work and family life and podcast and self-care time. So probably, like I said before, work on a bit of a better balance. We've also had some technical issues with my guests, so that will be something that I will look further into next year, so that won't be a barrier. What do I feel like I need to let go of in terms of the podcast? Probably sometimes lowering my own expectations. It's easy to want everything to look and feel and sound certain way, but that's not always possible. I don't know if you remember from the early episodes, but my motto, which I try to remind myself regularly, is it's not about being perfect, but being real. And that's what I want to invite more. What I would like to invite to next year and how I'd like to feel in terms of my podcast, I would like to invite more inspiring guests so that you can hear more incredible stories. And of course, I would like to invite more topics that resonate with you, that provide you sense of belonging, perhaps even a bit of hope. So if you have any suggestions of the topics that you would like me to discuss next season, please send me some feedback and ideas to my Instagram account, Together Through the Storms. I would really appreciate that, and that helps me to make this podcast even more meaningful for you. As it's the end of the year, and in Australia, we're also ending a school year, something I really want to acknowledge is the huge impact that the transition period is putting on our children with additional needs or disabilities, and also on us as carers. I have spoken to quite a few of my friends who have children with additional needs, and that exhaustion is next level. So I'm sending you all so much love, patience. I'm currently going through lots of transitions with my girls, and it's hard. We try to prepare them for these transitions as well as we possibly can, but we can't control everything. And there's lots of things, like especially with my girls, around communication that can't be really explained. Like, when does the school start? Like, how many more weeks? I mean, yes, we have a calendar, we count down, we explain it's after Christmas, but there's so much that even any children with no additional needs might struggle to comprehend, but especially child with any additional needs, it is hard. There's also a lot of advocacy that goes within transitions. So perhaps your child is transitioning into a new setting and you feel like you have to start the advocacy work from the scratch. So you once again explain to a new organization all the basics of your child. Sometimes I feel like I go in with a manual and this is how my child is like this is how their cochlears work and this is the key signs they use. It's explaining something quite significant, and you're putting so much trust on the people who are looking after your child and hoping that they would make adjustments that would support your child to feel safe and to feel comfortable. So I feel like big part of my own personal exhaustion at the moment is the level of advocacy and trying to set the children up for success in the new setting. We want to front load the staff. We want to front load the children for this transition and set it up right from the start. And that takes a lot of work from us as carers, a lot of preparation, whether it's physical materials and resources that you're providing, whether it's care team meetings, communication, physical transitions, explaining things to your child, having those regular conversations around very challenging topics. That is where the exhaustion comes from. But there's no other way. At the same time, I personally feel like I am obligated to do this because I want my children to have the best possible start wherever they're going, but yet it doesn't take away the amount of work that we have to put in to make the transition successful. And what I sometimes struggle is to explain this to my friends who don't have children with additional needs, because of course they also find transition hard, and it's never easy for any children. Sometimes you don't even explain it because it's too hard to make anyone understand what it involves and how it looks like and how draining it may feel. So if this is you feeling like this right now, just know that there are people that are in the same boat with you. I see you. I absolutely feel your exhaustion, your frustration. You're not alone. Please reach out to me if you want to have a chat about all the different emotions that transition process might make you feel, because I would love to have a chat with you and just have that peer support. One thing you need to remind yourself daily, and I try to remember the same thing, we are absolutely doing our best. Never, ever forget that. You are doing the best you can. You're being amazing. And every day that best looks different as well. So please be kind to yourself and acknowledge the level of capacity you have each day, because that can look very different. And sometimes just lower those expectations so that it matches with the capacity that you currently have. Thank you for listening to my very last episode of 2024. And thank you for all the support, the feedback, and the listening you have done throughout the year. It means so much to me. I can't wait to come back next year with new inspiring guests and new topics. Like I said before, if you have topic suggestions and ideas, please send them through on my Instagram account, Together Through the Storms. I would like to end the episode with another quote. I'm going really wild here, 2 quotes in one episode, but this is just a reminder to all of us. And I hope that this carries you through the exhausting, tiring days that there might be ahead before that break, which I hope you get. Give yourself permission to end this year gently. There's power in slowing down, wisdom in resting, and strength in being gentle with yourself. Let's all remember those things and head towards new adventures in 2025. I look forward to connecting with you next year. Have a wonderful Christmas if you celebrate, and a happy new year. Bye.